Welcome to the after party. Welcome to the after party. Did you bring some snacks and treats?
Yes, it did.
I hope you got me something to eat.
Maybe.
Welcome to the after party. Coming to the after party.
Right now.
I've been waiting here all day to act like a fool this way. Welcome
DJ.
to the after party.
Wiki.
Join us in the after party.
Right now.
Oh, chocolate and dabbing. Maybe
Not the
some
repeat.
microphone dabbing at the after party.
With DJ Airrick, Page.
Oh, forever goated. Anyway, sorry to hear that, Justin. Sorry to hear that. Glad to have you here, though. All right, so welcome everyone to another episode of the After Party with Eric and Paigey, available on all of your least favorite streaming platforms. So do not look for it there. What's going on, Paigey? You sent me another McDonald's picture, and I woke up to that. I found it. I picked up my phone, and I'm like, oh, there we go. What did you order? What was the order at McDonald's?
Just a drink. A drink.
Wait, when do you get the Sprite? Is it the Sprite that you always get there?
No, I just get a like a coconut sugar from McDonald's, but it just tastes different. Like when you get it from like the, what do they call them? The fountains, like the fountain sodas, it just tastes different. And it was so it was like YOLO.
So you prefer the Macca's like
If there's no one in the drive-thru, I'll go. I'm not gonna wait in the drive-thru for a drink, but if there was no one in there, there was like one car in front of me, so I went YOLO, and then I saw the thing, and I'm like, this will trigger Eric, so I took the photo.
I go there for the fries. That's why I go.
I thought you went there for
like
the Grimace Shake.
No, definitely not. I don't want to.
I'm pretty sure you went there for the Grimace Shake.
I did not.
Okay.
I don't know though. The fries might hit different in Australia compared to how they hit here.
McDonald's fries are only good when they're hot. Like they're
That's
gonna be
the same
hot.
way here. I mean, that's the same way.
No. But I'm just saying, like the fries, if they're not hot, they just move on.
You have to eat them on the way home. Like you're eating them in the car on the way home. That's how you eat their fries here.
Or just don't live 4 kilometers times a million away.
So
It's the way to go.
Is it?
I have to ask you, Eric, to quote, like, I guess, maybe not one of the greatest songs ever, but a song, Hey Mom, there's something in the back room, I think the lyrics are. What are your thoughts on the discussion of aliens existing?
Oh, so we're starting out with that.
Yeah.
I actually think the reaction is exactly what I expected. There's too much other like stupid shit happening in the world that people just didn't care. They're like, okay, maybe we've been desensitized to aliens because there's so many fake alien videos on TikTok. Maybe that's what it is.
Well, so what is your theory on aliens? Because how do you think aliens look? Do you think they're little green men? Do you think they're tall gray men?
I think they're Superman. Because you're missing out on my adventures with Superman.
I can tell you I'm not. I know I'm not. I saw Heat Wave from the show. What the fuck was that? Anyway. What the fuck was that? Why anyway, but I have to ask you, what do you think they look like?
Aliens? I don't know. I have no idea. So look, I've seen the idea of these, like, you know, the gray aliens with the big eyes and stuff. Those are the ones that everybody talks about, the ones that have like the huge head, the little bodies or whatever. I feel like that is too, like, maybe somebody did see something like that, but I feel like people say that now because it's just the common idea of what aliens look like. I would guess like aliens being humanoid at all would be quite a stretch, right? I mean, like if you look at Star Trek or Star Wars or whatever, every alien has like, well, not every alien, but most of them have like 2 arms, 2 legs. You know what I mean? They walk upright and everything. I don't think that the vast majority of aliens are going to look like that. I mean, they could even be tiny. You know what I mean? They could be like this big. We have no idea.
My theory on aliens is that it just plays into sort of like a multiversal theory where aliens are just they look like us, but they might have small differences. So they have like 3 fingers or something. Like that looks like a weird crab or something. Or they have like 1 eye or something.
Do you wait? Do you think aliens are from the multiverse? Is what you're saying, or
They're from like different universe, like different offshoots
Right.
of the universe.
Okay, that's interesting.
So that's yeah, and then but then that could lead into there's aliens among us.
I mean, there's rumors that squids and octopus were from another planet because they don't share a lot of DNA markers with other things on this planet. So,
Well, someone was saying a lot about you because you look like an Oompa Loompa.
Oh, do I? Is that what this all was about? You're leading into me
Yeah,
being an Oompa
boom,
Loompa? So-
you fell into it. Got him.
Look, I believe that there are other things out there smart like we are, like self-aware. Yes. Do I necessarily know that they're visiting our dumbass planet? I don't know. Just
Okay, so here's one question. Here's the final question on the alien topic. An alien arrives.
Mhm.
Woo! What is it? Woo! Comes down. Woo! Comes down to Earth.
Uh-huh.
We take us to your leader. Take us to your leader. Who are you taking the alien to? Who is the leader? Who is your one nomination from planet Earth, the person of our society, that you take the alien to represent this is human culture? Go. People in the chat, feel free to let us know as well. I think I have a good option.
Wait, you're saying someone that represents like humanity?
Yeah,
Like,
when
is
you
that
go,
the
you can
leader?
go. You need to show someone that encompasses human life and what it means to be human, and you have to take the aliens to that one person.
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds. Okay, mine was Soldier Boy, so I think we got a bit different there. But anyway.
Oh gosh, look at some of the names in the chat: Ron DeSantis, Andrew Tate. Really? I mean, the troll energy is very real.
Andrew Tate was your backup option, I think. From
yeah,
memory.
no, I'm not trying to buy his $100 comic book that looks like ass. That's not happening either.
Like
So did you see it? He put out a comic book. It looked like complete garbage. It's like a $97 comic book.
I'm not chronically online like you are, Eric. So I didn't.
Well, yeah, no, it was bad. It was so bad. I saw the pictures of it and I was like, oh.
I'll tell you what, though. Did you know about like how Tom DeLonge from Blink-182 was like told it's about all the alien stuff?
I mean, I've heard about it. Yeah, yeah.
Do we owe him an apology? Well, to be honest, I always believed in aliens.
Demi Lovato
anyway.
also had a show about aliens as well. Like,
yeah, I believed in aliens all the time. Anyway, I didn't necessarily know about Roswell and everything like that, whether that was real or legit.
I've always believed in aliens too, but I don't necessarily know. If
I don't know. You sort of denied it.
Look, I don't know if I believe every story from people saying they've seen aliens. You know what I mean? Like, I don't believe all of those, but I do believe that there is something else out there, and whether they're multiversal or multidimensional or whatever they might be, I don't know. But yeah, it's Look, Fatman Plays says, "Did you see that Soldier Boy's net worth is negative now?" Oh.
Yeah, I'm not. Well, I'm not overly surprised.
I want to give a shout out to somebody who resubscribed, was Laura E. Thank you again for doing that. I do appreciate that. We have a comment from Darth Bunyan, who's been a member for 21 months. Says, "I'll be the dumbass with signs of love and die first." Signs of love or life? Love, maybe. Signs of love and die first.
Well, is that a?
So you mean like standing on top of the building during Independence Day when they're holding up the signs and like they love aliens and they get
and then they got
yeeted.
Fucking wham.
Yeah, they get yeeted. I think that's what he means.
Well, actually, what song would you play for the aliens? "Where Is the Love" by Black Eyed Peas actually might not be a.
Nah.
And then again, they might hear that Justin Timberlake thing and be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, I don't know about that. Like, if I played music for them, I would probably play
Where is Return of the Mac?
No, Party Rock Anthem. That would be a good one.
But Every Day I'm Shuffling.
Yeah, that's a good one.
No, you know what I do? What's that Bob Sinclair song that they always overplay? It's like the Rock This Party thing. I hate that song now.
Yeah. That's a pretty bad one. I wouldn't do that one. Any Ice Spice song.
Oh, if they can understand it. Like,
here's Munch. Here's Munch. Like, let's play that one and see what they think about us after that. Oh, it's too funny. All right, we're gonna jump into our first topic of the day, and actually second.
That wasn't the first topic. I was gonna say.
That wasn't the first one. That was a random topic. The second topic of the day. We're not going to read the article. I'm pulling it up here because I've been asked a lot about this, considering we do podcasting. So people have been bringing up the fact that podcasting is something that SAG looks down on, right? Like they say that is wrong and you shouldn't do that. Because it's against the rules. And I want to reiterate here that obviously I support the actors and the writers, and I will continue to say that. If you watch my videos, I always give them a shout out in the videos and things like that. But the rules for podcasting, just like with anything else when it comes from this, is specifically for people who are already in the union or who are looking to be in the union. That's what the rules are for. They're not trying to shut down everybody's podcast. I don't know why these rules are so difficult to understand for everybody. Like, if you love a podcast and they decide they don't want to do their show because they feel like they need to do that because of SAG and WGA, that's fine. That's their prerogative. But there's no restriction against individuals who are not in the union to do anything at all. Like, if I wanted to invite an actor on to this show for whatever reason, we get like, I don't know, Ray Fisher on here, right? And
right.
He wants to promote like Rebel Moon or something. That would be an issue, right? That would be an issue. However, if Zack Snyder wanted to come on here and discuss Rebel Moon, that would not, because the Directors Guild is not currently restricted.
Well, no, it'd be like if whatever world Ray Fisher comes on here, he could come on here and talk shit and or continue to talk shit, whichever way you want to put it. But you just couldn't talk about Rebel Moon, or you couldn't talk about whatever is coming out.
Anything. Like, if I wanted to invite an actor on here to talk about cooking, they could do.
Well, no, they could talk. He could come on here and talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League because it's past.
Right,
it's already come out. But it can't be something that's like actively like in like theaters or airing on TV or something like that. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but there's just no restrictions on actual podcasters because most podcasters are not part of the union. They're not writers, and they're not this. This kind of exposes a lot of the people who criticize Hollywood, because a lot of these larger podcasts that spend all day talking shit about like movies and TV shows, they're not in the industry. They're not a writer. They're not an actor. They're not a director. They're none of those things.
The only issue is and I think it's actually sort of affecting the strike in regards to how people view it, is that you're seeing people try to attack people for just continuing to do stuff when it doesn't relate to this too much. Like, even when Sarah Silverman said that the people doing those wave projects are scabbing, it's like, no, it's not. If you think that, then you don't understand what the strike's about.
Yeah.
So I don't know why Sarah Silverman said that, because it just
I heard that was a clickbait headline. I didn't read the article, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. But I heard the headline was sort of clickbaity. I don't know if it's true or not. So I don't know. But
I don't know.
If she did say it, that is not good. Yeah. A scab is specifically somebody who is in the union, or it wants to do the same job that the union is doing, and they cross the picket line.
It would be like if they went to Warner Brothers with a script or something, and Warner Brothers bought the script right now. That would be crossing the picket line. Or they went there and like, oh, sign me up. I'll act in something.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. So like, another thing is scabbing. Like, that's another term I hear being thrown around. Like, people stop using words for everything. Like, words have specific meanings. We have to remember that. Like, when Paigey calls me a shill, he's ruining the meaning of that word, because
I'm emphasizing and giving the prime example of it in the form of DJ Erickson.
But scabbing is if you are someone who is trying to either cross the line as an existing member or take work away from members by doing that outside of the union. That is scabbing. Again, not what a podcast is. So a lot of people are like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this shit. Like, at least understand what you're criticizing before you criticize it. The podcast is going to turn into a true crime podcast starting next week. Just joking. Just kidding. I'm sure Paigey would love that. A true crime podcast. They're all over the place. So.
What would be the first episode? Have to be Snowtown.
No, surely. It would not be Snowtown. Definitely not.
Have to be Snowtown.
Speaking of that, there is a show called Based on a True Story that's on Peacock, which we should talk about that for a second too.
I've seen it on on one of the streaming services.
It's not bad. It's really not bad. I know Peacock gets a bad rap. It's not bad. It's not bad. But
Christmas Nana.
Speaking of, though, before we move on to the next, this will be another topic. I've got a lot of topics lined up. We'll just make them happen here. Peacock
No.
is going to lose like what? What are you going to say?
Well, no, not really, Cam. It doesn't have to be a union member. Otherwise, you wouldn't be a union member. You get kicked out straight away. You can be the most scabs are the people that aren't union members.
The ones that are like actors that aren't in the union that are like, hey, I'm going to take advantage of the actors striking.
And it'd be someone like that's a TikToker, because every single TikToker seems to be like another, doesn't actually want to be a TikToker. They're using it to get something else.
Yeah.
But it's like a TikToker doing something like they're, whatever it might be. And they might have an aspiration to be an actor or a writer.
Anyone outside of the director cannot promote Blue Beetle or the Marvels. The directors can do it, but that's it.
Well, unless you're like a notable producer or something like that.
Right.
But
yeah.
How many notable producers are there?
Yeah.
That aren't actors.
The actual director of Blue Beetle has been promoting the movie. I don't think it's going to help though. We'll talk about Blue Beetle in a second. So Peacock, Disney, a couple other places like that do soap operas and things have been threatening to like continue like basically getting writing done and stuff outside of the union, which I think has gotten shot down as well. And I saw an article, I think you sent it to me, that Peacock is supposedly going to lose like 3 billion next year or something like that. 3 billion in 2024.
Talk about let me see a peacock. Jesus.
Yeah,
Christ.
I mean, it's the tumbling of like, I don't know where it is in our podcast, but somewhere in like the 2017, 2018, I haven't gotten there yet, but somewhere in the 2017, 2018's podcast, we both talked about this, and I was very adamant that we were going to see like a complete like destruction of streaming services. And the reason why is you're putting too much out there, and it's good for consumers to have so many options, but it's bad for businesses when there are too many options, because eventually some of them have to go away. And would you agree or disagree with that?
Well, I think it was sort of obvious, because unless you got 5 TVs on your wall, you're only watching one thing. And also people can't, most people can't afford to pay whatever the amount of money it would be to have all these streaming services. At that point, you may as well just get, there was something on your goddamn camera. It was tripping me out. It was like some sort of black dot. Did anyone else see that in Eric's camera just then? It's gone now. It looked like it was a little bug or something. I thought I was freaking out.
It could be a fly, like on the camera lens.
Maybe. You are stinky, so there would be flies around. So
I don't see any. Well, no, it's the weather's bad. It's like, so in temperature wise, it is in for me, it's over 100 degrees today. Here.
Was it an alien?
So it might have been. Yeah. I will probably. If it's moving, it's definitely gone. Is it still there? Or is it gone?
It's gone. But that's more sus than anything. I'd actually be more confident if it was still there.
I'll double check it in a second here. But streaming services, reiterate for everybody. I think we've talked about it on Twitch, but never really here. Which ones do you think are the ones that should be around, and which ones do you think are going away? And I'm going to check
as a baseline. Oh, he's going to exterminate the alien. As a baseline, Netflix, but on the side, Prime Video, just because it was already there anyway. And then maybe Disney Plus.
Okay.
And that's just because it's so varied and everything like that.
Well, here's the deal. I don't think Prime has any issues, because that is a service that is getting money outside.
It's like a marketplace as well. It's like Google Play or whatever it is. So
same thing with Apple TV. Apple TV is a company that's supported by something outside of the.
Technically that's the iTunes side of it.
Yeah.
Well, Apple TV, but like I would say, Netflix, Prime Video, and Disney Plus. But now it's rumored that Apple's going to buy Disney?
That's a very bad rumor. I haven't seen any corroboration of that. That came from like one source.
But like, if we're honest, Peacock is probably the one that shouldn't exist at all. Like, I don't know. I honestly think Peacock exists just because it has The Office. Like, and I think Parks and Rec, and that's the only reason it exists.
I actually watch a lot of things on Peacock, but it's a lot of random things. Like they're all kind of consolidated on Peacock, but Paramount Plus could make it if they fix their shit, but they keep fucking up. So
yeah, I think I don't know what's going to happen, and this is why this strike's going to keep going. At least I think on the writers' side. Because I think if they have to actually start paying relatively close to whatever the network residuals were, which is pretty much what's being asked, these streaming services can't exist, or they're going to cost like double of what they do now, and people already think they're expensive.
They are. You know, the thing about it is that what has happened, I think, with streaming services versus like writers and stuff like that, is that we're in a situation where the actual business side changed. Like the business model went from like primarily network television to streaming services. So that happened, but then it never updated the way actors and writers and directors were treated. You know what I mean? So it's like for a TV show, you get like what, 20, 23 episodes a season.
Or you
And then when it went to streaming, you get like 10. But they wanted to keep paying them what they were paying them, what would have been for 10 episodes. But then they're locked in for the same amount of time as somebody who's writing for 23 episodes. So the problem is the business model changed, but it didn't change for the people making the content. So I think that's the biggest issue. It sort of reminds me of like the DMCA situation here online, where we have to deal with these, deal with DMCAs, which are outdated. It was something that was created in the 90s and it still hasn't been fixed. And, you know, we don't have the same power as like a union to like stand up and change that, but it is a very similar situation where, you know, the DMCA system is outdated and obviously streaming stuff is outdated as well. As far as my thoughts on Ms. Marvel going to ABC, I believe it's an actual good thing. And let me explain why. We're probably not going to get a lot of promotion for the Marvels from the actors. I don't think that's going to happen because even if the strike were to wrap up, that's only a couple months. Unless they're already working on some sort of promo thing, I don't know how they're going to have any time to do that. Plus, all the talk shows would come back, and then they would have to like figure that out. So I don't know. But Ms. Marvel being on ABC, which I believe they're doing it over 2 weeks, they're doing like half of it one week and then half of it the other week. Will it give them a chance to advertise the movie with the TV show? I think it's a good idea from a marketing standpoint. I think from the standpoint of Disney Plus, it devalues Disney Plus a little bit because you start taking content from your streaming service and putting it on network television. People are like, why am I? This is the same thing that happened with Pixar. It's exactly why people stop going out to see Pixar movies, is because they're like, why am I going to go to a movie with like a family of 5 when I could just wait 45
It's like when you
streaming?
start when your OnlyFans feed pictures on Twitter. Like, it's just like, hold on, Eric, why are you doing that?
It devalues those pictures on your OnlyFans. So yeah, you can't do your feet pics on there. Yeah, which I think is quite interesting. But yeah, I think it's a good idea for the advertising of the Marvels because they're not going to have a lot of promotional stuff for that. I don't know. Do you agree or disagree with that at all, Paigey?
I think, well, you sort of have on the baseline, you have to agree with it. I'm very intrigued to see what's going to happen with these movies coming out in November and December. That haven't been moved as of yet. Right.
Speaking of that, let's go ahead and move into the next topic, which let's see, some pushbacks here. So this was I did a short on this yesterday, but I haven't really talked about it in detail. I figured I'd save it for the stream, and that is the fact that Sony is the first to come out and start delaying a bunch of stuff.
Sony.
Is this surprising to you at all? Is this a shock?
I was surprised by Kraven.
Yeah.
Because that movie's going to be shit anyway, so why would you just let it come out?
Beyond the Spiderverse did not surprise me. That's the one that didn't surprise me.
And Ghostbusters literally is just finished filming. Like I think they might have just finished before the strike. So the only one that surprised me was Kraven.
Yeah. So let's look at some of the change dates. There some stuff moved up as well, I believe. I think like Madam Web or something. So here it says Kraven now is shifting to August 30th, 2024. It's supposed to come out in October of this year. And I actually think Kraven will probably do better as a summer movie, personally. I mean, not that it's going to do good anyway. I think it's kind of a dud.
Hold on, Eric. Here we go. $10, yes or no?
Okay.
Over this period, because it's been delayed, on a scale of 1 to 54 million, how many rumors do you think are going to come out that because of the delay they're going to add a Spider-Man cameo?
Oh my
Go.
gosh, so many. I'll make some videos on it too. So I'm gonna confirm that. I'll probably make some videos on it as well.
Of course you will.
Yeah, because I want to jump on that quickly.
Do you have a little flute, by the way?
You have what?
Little flute?
I don't know what that is.
Is it Oompa Loompa flute?
Oh, no, I do not have that. But look, we talked about this already. I don't think anybody gave a fuck about Kraven, to be completely honest.
No, like it might have been like, I'll go watch it or something.
I would have gone to see it, but I wasn't.
I wouldn't have. I've made my stance about if movies look shit, I don't go see them.
Okay. So is this based on just the trailer or Morbius, like that whole Morbius thing, or was it
just the Sony track record? I didn't see that Carnage movie in theaters, but I didn't think it was very good. I didn't mind the first Venom. I didn't see. I think it was because of COVID. I think, but anyway, hashtag flashback. But yeah, Morbius. Thank God I didn't pay for Morbius, but I wouldn't have seen Morbius if I didn't get to go see it for free. So yeah, I wouldn't have seen Kraven the Hunter. Yeah, so to me, I'm not devastated by this news.
The trailer for Kraven was giving me streaming movie vibes. It looked to me like something you would see on streaming, like not in a good way either. Not like this whole Extraction 2 or these movies that were made that exceed expectations. It looked like a streaming movie to me. The blood in it looked really bad. Okay, so you know what the blood reminded me of in that trailer, like the blood splashes, Titan season 1. Like you remember how bad blood splashes were?
You know what came out recently that reminded me of Titan's blood?
What's that?
That trailer for that Boys spin-off. The blood looked awful in that trailer.
Oh, Gen 5, I think is what it's called. Or
whatever that spin-off, the Boys spin-off.
I haven't seen the trailer for it, so I don't know. I haven't
the blood looked awful. Oh, it looked worse than Titans.
Yeah. So here's the deal. I don't think they're going to do anything extra to Kraven. I think Kraven will get delayed, and they might do a little post-production stuff with the special effects, but that's about it. I don't think they're going to do anything extra with that. Then we have Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, the third film in the blockbuster animated franchise, has been undated. It sounds really interesting. Paige, what would happen if you were seeing somebody and they're like, I think we should undate? I think we should just undate. Would that bother you? Would you?
Well, does that undate suggest you erase that there was ever a date?
Ooh.
Or does what is undate? Just remove that? Because I guess undress is removing said dressings.
Yeah.
Whether that's a salad or clothes.
I don't know. So it was originally going to be March 29th, 2024. And let's be honest, that's less than a year away. There was no way that movie was coming out. Well, there was a rumor at one point that that movie was made alongside the other one, but then that was disproven. The actors were like, no, we didn't record anything for Beyond the Spider-Verse. So when it says undated, that typically means it's more than 2 years out. So we will probably not see Beyond the Spider-Verse at the earliest 2026.
Yeah, I think you can undress the salad at Hell's Bell. Like, what, just run it underwater?
Yeah.
Unless
look here.
That's what
I'm not saying Gen 5 doesn't interest me, but Pagey's saying the effects look bad. So there we go.
It looks like everything I don't like about The Boys in a show. I like most of the aspects of The Boys, but that one bit that I don't like, that Gen V looks like that, but a show. Get a fork.
So Infinity says, I wouldn't be surprised if Beyond the Spider-Verse was undated if the strike didn't happen. No, it was definitely going to get delayed, no matter what. 100%. So the Ghostbuster Afterlife sequel, which is the Paul Rudd thing, is over 200 million worldwide. The box office 2021 has been pushed from Christmas of this year, roughly December 20th, to Easter weekend from next year, which makes sense. That one makes sense to me. Unless this is my only concern. Remember the first Shazam movie? How it came out around March and it had all those Christmas references in it. I wonder if this is going to be another thing where the movie was intended to be a holiday movie and it gets pushed back by.
Oh no, I saw set photos for that thing. It doesn't look like it's set during Christmas. It looks like it's set during the summer or something. Yeah. I'm not too sure. By the way, Eric, what's a Christmas song it gets it stuck in your head?
Oh, the Mariah Carey song every year.
Really? You know what mine is? From The Grinch? Where are you, Christmas? That one. Always. Faith Hill. That's a good song. Like, no cap.
I
Good
actually
song.
think that the Christmas song from the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special is really good too. That's one of my favorites.
I think I
don't
hate
know.
that one.
Did
I thought
you?
I was like, oh my god, shut this up.
You don't like that? Christmas time is here. You don't like that?
Oh,
one?
I didn't like it. Yeah,
Okay,
I didn't
all
like
right.
that one.
Hey,
Faithful all
G,
the way.
get ready to be upset. The Karate Kid reboot has been kicked from June 7th of next year.
There was a Karate Kid reboot. I had no idea.
Yes, and it was not connected to the show from Netflix, which seems a little bit pointless to me.
Is Jaden
Like,
Smith
why-
in it?
That's right. There was I forgot about
Jackie
that.
Chan.
So he had a Karate Kid reboot, like 15 years ago or something. It was a while ago. I don't remember, but he had that movie, and now we're getting another Karate Kid reboot, not connected to Cobra Kai, which actually it does really well on Netflix. So I'm surprised that they were going a different direction with that. So Dakota Johnson fans are getting her slice of the Spider-Man universe, Madam's Web, on Valentine's Day, 2024, 2 days earlier from its plan. So they're releasing it literally on Valentine's Day. Why does Sony believe that these Spider-Man movies are Valentine's movies? They did this with something else, I believe. I can't remember what it was. But Madam Web, a Valentine's movie, is that going to help it at all? Date night, let's go see Madam Web. Is it going to be like Barbie, like a movie where everybody's going to go see?
I don't know how many people are going to be lining up for Madam Web, but I don't know. That movie just seems like such a weird movie. Like, there's been so much said about it, and it's still like, I don't know. That movie could either be like somewhat intriguing or a lot of arse. Like, I'm not too sure which way it's going to go.
Then the Bad Boys 4 is set for June 14th. Venom 3 received a new release date of July 12th. 2024. So it looks like we're getting 2 Spider-Verse movies next year. No, 3 Spider-Verse movies next year. Wow. I just thought about that. 3 Spider-Verse movies in 1 year?
That doesn't sound like it'll be a recipe for the disaster.
Yeah,
it's more because it's Madam Web, Kraven, Venom. Oh no, Spiderverse got delayed. Yeah, so sorry, Spiderverse isn't there, but it could have been 4.
It could have been 4.
3 of those movies. I think 1 a year is enough.
Yeah. The studio's most imminent release is Neil Blomkamp's Gran Turismo, which you're so excited about, starring David Harbour, Orlando Bloom, and Archie Mattaway. Originally set to open on August 11th, the Sony distribution team is betting on a strong early audience testing and word of mouth to help the film open on track. The studio will roll out Gran Turismo in select theaters over the weekends of August 11th and August 18th, expanding to wide on August 25th. So that's the ones that are pushed back. Now I have to say the ball is in other studios' courts. What do you think is imminently going to get pushed back now from other studios, considering that this has happened? Because this was like the first big, like, we're moving movies around.
I mean,
you think Dune 2?
Well, Dune's probably the one they're gonna move because they'd want Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya promoting it.
Right.
I don't know. Like, the other studios might not and go, oh, okay, Sony moved. Okay, more room.
You think they'll? Well, look, let's talk about that. So Dune 2 and the Marvels were basically going to be going head to head because Dune 2 came out and then a week later Marvels came out. So if Disney doesn't move the Marvels, that puts it as like the big movie in theaters for pretty much the entire month.
Yeah.
So that might be good for them. They may.
So it's like the downside of like they won't be able to promote it, at least with the actors. Right. But then again, are they really losing a ridiculous amount there? Because I think it depends how you handle your promotional campaign, where maybe it doesn't really matter too much. Like I think like a lot of like places like waste their money a lot of the time with some of the promotional campaigns they do. And sometimes you think
Dune 1 was in that weird spot where it was released day and date, so it screwed up.
Yeah, the HBO Max thing. I know they probably just release Captain Marvel too and not really have to bother too much with the promotion because it's like it's a Marvel thing anyway.
I think most of the promotion is going to be on that Ms. Marvel TV release on ABC. I think that's what they're going to do because they'll probably do that.
Maybe.
And they'll do some sort of behind the scenes stuff or whatever that's not considered like, interviews or whatever. They can do that. So because the Directors Guild is good, they can have a director come in and chop up a little special or something like that probably before the movie comes out. But here's the deal. It could affect Dune 2. It could affect. We talked about Aquaman 2 to Color Purple possibly getting moved. I think that would be the best thing for Aquaman, honestly. Now, people have said Aquaman's already been delayed enough. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, but I mean, it's sometimes those delays went. So people go, "Oh, was it necessary?" Well, this one you could argue, well, yeah, it probably is. But I think they're either going to be either Wonka or Aquaman, so it depends. They probably want Wonka to keep going because they probably think it's an awards thing for like production and to get an Oscar nominations for that type of stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, like Color Purple could also be an awards type
Same.
thing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's just like I think they're gonna have to shift around there. I don't know if they can have all those 3 movies come out.
Yeah.
So they might keep 2 and just keep them like 2 weeks apart or something because they're also like maybe different demographics depending on how the Color Purple's handled.
I also think that by next weekend we'll be talking about more delays. I guarantee next week we'll get like news about more delays because if Sony's doing this now, that means other like Universal and all these other studios are thinking of the same thing. So we'll have to wait and see. We have a super chat over here from Staggervore 99 super chat. Could you see big entertainment companies pull out of the streaming business and go back to putting more content on their networks while making content for their platforms? So I've talked about this before. I think if this whole writer strike thing ends up being a big problem, it may be more monetarily beneficial for them to go back to like more of a network TV format. And the streaming services aren't making a ton of money. We just talked about Peacock reportedly losing $3 billion between this year and next year. They may go, hey, this might have been good during COVID, but it's not the we've always said this before. I don't think the streaming thing was ever a long-term thing. I think during COVID it worked, but it's not working anymore. There's too many.
Yeah, and people just don't like. I think it's just like there was this like shift where people wanted to start viewing things in their home, and it's just like, well, I think it's more that like people just didn't want to waste money seeing something that wasn't worth seeing, which was sort of seeing, you know, how people are going to see Barbie and Oppenheimer and everything like that. Which are movies that like maybe like on a base level people wouldn't go, oh, that's an automatic success. That's the money maker, man. So I think I just have to consistently release better movies in theaters. I think that's the big thing. And as I said, like I think if you're like a Warner Brothers or a Universal or let me see a Peacock, who's that? NBC. Oh no, that's Universal.
Right.
What's Paramount?
Paramount's Paramount right now.
Obviously.
I will never, ever, unless it's the only option I ever have, go and see something or pay money to see something that is generated by AI. I will never do that. I'll never go see a movie that's 100% AI generated. I'll never spend money on that. What's the point? If you can do that yourself, what's the point of going and spending money on watching an AI generated movie? It just doesn't make any sense to me to spend money on that.
How would you know? Ooh.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is I'm assuming that's what this whole strike thing is about, is so that kind of information.
I can imagine the trailer written and directed by AI.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Definitely would not. Now, I mean, like, look,
what if there's a rapper like T.I. but AI?
Well, there was.
Is there?
Did you ever? So it was a big controversy. You didn't hear about that?
Oh, is this the D's Nuts one?
No, there was a rapper on TikTok that was a AI cartoon.
No. But I'm saying like specifically a guy called AI.
Oh, no. But there was a AI actual rapper on social media on TikTok.
I think I saw that, and yeah.
But it got in trouble because it was a white guy pretending to be a black AI thing, like AI. I don't even know if it was a person. It could have been an
AI. Yeah, like an avatar or something like that. Yeah,
yeah,
like,
I think it
like
was a person,
persona.
right. So it was like this AI, I think it was a black rapper.
The avatar, the online avatar was a black rapper,
yes,
but the guy behind it was some.
But the voices, right? Yes, I believe that's what it was. I have to look it up, but I do remember there's some controversy about it because it wasn't
Will I Am.
It was not Will I Am. No, it was not. So Maddie, that's the thing is right now the rules for AI are pretty much nothing. That's why there's all these court cases and things popping up because there's no regulation on it, which is why so many people are doing what they're doing right now.
You know what? I'll tell you one thing. One thing that was evident is that so Warner Brothers released that 100 years thing, that documentary. They don't talk about any streaming shows.
Oh, really?
It's been 3 years, and they included stuff, isn't necessarily that old.
Yeah.
But they talked about a lot of shows which were licensed out, and like that's the thing. I think if you're Warner Brothers, Paramount, Universal, whatever it is,
Yeah.
even Disney to an extent, but probably just those other 3, they just need to see that creating shows and licensing them out to those other networks is the way to go.
Mhm.
Or specifically Warner Brothers, because like NBC and CBS would buy the Warner Brothers shows, like because Warner Brothers TV was such a power, it was just a massive powerhouse, and that's what they should do. But the funny thing is now the Warner Brothers sort of lost a bit of an angle for them with the CW thing, and now they're thinking they're like, oh shit, because that's the thing. That's why what happened with the CW happened, because the whole streaming wars sort of thing.
So, by the way, I think a lot of the shows, like very much so Batwoman and to some degree Legends, would have continued probably
Stargirl
for the whole streaming thing. Yeah, Stargirl, definitely. The Flash, probably not. I think the
Flash.
Flash.
The Flash would have ended. The Flash was one of the shows that wasn't affected. Riverdale as well, but like a show like Stargirl, Batwoman, Legends, 100%.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a possible, and I don't know if this is true or not, so take this with a complete like grain of salt or whatever. We might have a casting for Jimmy Olsen, and let me see here. I think I have the picture here. And this is the actor that they are saying could be playing Jimmy Olsen, and his name is Skylar Gassando.
Skylar.
What do you think?
American name.
What do you think?
I mean, I like him in Santa Clarita Diet, which is such an underrated show. Speaking of a show that got cancelled too early, that one. I think it's still got 3 seasons, that show. Did you ever watch that?
Yeah. It was on Netflix, right?
With Drew Barrymore and Timmy Oliphant.
Yeah.
Timothy Oliphant.
I don't want to spoil what it's about, but yeah, I watched.
Well, it's about zombies, but like living a normal lifestyle.
Yeah.
But that show was super good, and he was in it. He wasn't like in the main family. He was like the neighbor, I think, but he was really good in it. So I liked him in that. He was in that Vacation reboot, which was arse.
I didn't see that. I did not see that.
So bad.
Was it good? Was it like so you're talking about the National Lampoons, right?
Yeah, the National Lampoons.
When did that come out? Because I remember hearing about that. It was like 3-4 years ago, something like that.
It was longer than that. It was like 2015, 16 or something. I didn't like that, but he seems like he'd be a decent Jimmy Olsen.
So you can see it. He's giving you that vibe.
I could definitely see it. So it's not like 2015. Yeah, I knew it wasn't that recent.
Yeah,
I don't think they eat poop in the. I think they just cover themselves in it.
Now,
I know someone does eat it actually. I think.
Here's the situation. Do you believe this casting is legit? If this is true,
I don't know if it's legit or not, but I like the casting. If that's the case, the only thing is that there's a strikes going on, so I don't know if it's something that was sitting there previously. And maybe maybe they had like a top 3 for Jimmy Olsen. They've got this inkling this guy is the one that's coming across. But then again, like we don't like let's be honest. Even with all this stuff going on, I'm sure James Gunn has this guy's phone number if that's the case, and is ringing him, like giving him updates, like, "Hey, we can't announce this." Like, I think it's clear that would be happening because they're not tapping phones.
Well, you mean like so? Like, if this rumor was true, he wouldn't say.
But let's say behind closed doors, James Gunn has already picked a Lex Luthor and Jimmy Olsen for this Superman, and maybe even other castings, but it got too late to reveal them.
Right.
Or he wanted to wait to announce bigger castings, and so like something that would have been in a Comic-Con. So maybe he wants to try and wait until after the strike is over, and then maybe CCXP or New York Comic-Con comes around where that can be announced.
Mm-hmm.
He could easily be on the phone during the strike, just giving updates and stuff like that. Like they
as long as they're not talking about writing.
Obviously, they couldn't sign a deal or anything like that. Right. They have to wait. But that wouldn't surprise me if those conversations happen. Though some would argue that's going against the strike.
Probably edging the line of the strike there.
Yeah. But yeah, like I don't mind this casting at all.
Okay.
Obviously, it depends on the execution of all that. But,
yeah. Chat, what do you think of the casting? Let us know in the comments.
I don't think it's necessarily that not being able to reveal castings hells, but it's like whether it was officially done or not. Like if they hadn't signed the contract for the casting, I don't think they'd want to announce it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think there's auditioning going on or anything like that because there's too many people involved with auditions.
Yeah. You couldn't get away with it. It would be
We'll
easy
get to get away
figure
with
out,
it, yeah.
And I'm not saying people in Hollywood skirt the rules, but I'm just saying, you know, it's very possible. Yeah, people saying they could see him as Jimmy Olsen. Yeah, I totally agree with that. All right, so we're gonna jump into, this is kind of spoiler territory in case you haven't seen it. We're gonna talk about the drama around the Secret Invasion show. So if you haven't seen the whole thing, we are gonna be talking about the finale. I can say you're probably not missing much in terms of like the show itself. Because it was quite interesting. So, Paigey, what are your general thoughts on Secret Invasion? Because you've watched the whole thing. It's a safe space. Say what you think.
Well, it wasn't very good, was it?
No. I gave it, look, every week that I talked about it, I was giving it credit saying, let's wait till the end because I don't like to make my full opinion about it till the end. And by the end of it, I was very underwhelmed.
Well, the one thing I remember saying to you after like 2 or 3 episodes, it might have been on here, I can't remember. But the thing I said was, it's a slow burn. And I don't mind that. Like, it wasn't good, but it was a slow burn. And I was like, I don't mind if it's a slow burn if the slow burn is worth it. And it clearly was not fucking worth it come the end of it because they blew it. There was the slow burn meant nothing because it completely goes away from the slow burn and what it potentially was building up to.
It was slow and then it was rushed. That final episode was only like 28 minutes long, I think. And it felt like everything was like just, you know.
I have to ask you something. Do you think Kevin Feige's even that much involved with stuff? Because it feels like everything's so all over the place. And also like,
yeah.
Along with that, one of the other things that I think is becoming evidently clear is that either they don't have TV people involved with actually setting this stuff up because TV is a different media form than movie. You just can't come and be a movie person that's made movies for 15 years and go, we're doing TV shows now, and then expect that you can just jump in and do them. They're a different form, they're a different medium, and I feel like they don't know how to make TV shows. And also, I hate the fact that they're like YOLO 5 or 6 episodes. Like, give it 10 episodes. Let it have 10 episodes. Make it relevant to what you think the story should have.
So my issue with the story of Secret Invasion is, number one, the Secret Invasion comic is really good. It's a really good series, and it's got a lot of heroes in it, and you never know who's a Skrull or whatever. And I think they did capture that vibe in the show. We didn't know who was going to be a Skrull and who wasn't. Although I think it was pretty obvious that Rhodey was going to be a Skrull within the first couple of conversations we had with him. More about that in a second. But, we got the first 2 episodes I think were pretty strong for me. I don't really have many negatives to say about the first couple episodes. And then we had those middle episodes where I'm like, I wasn't the only one feeling underwhelmed because nobody was watching the reviews. Nobody was coming in for the live streams. It really was like nobody really cared at that point. And I love Samuel L. Jackson, but I think one of the issues is some characters work better in different ways. And I think Nick Fury works better as the I show up kind of person that drops a bunch of information and is kind of mysterious than a character that you know a lot about. I think learning so much about his personal life took away the coolness of the character. Does that make any sense?
And do you think this is a war? I was the first. That's an explanation of something I was thinking of as well. And you know what show I immediately jumped to and went, depending on how it's handled, that could be a worry as well.
Yeah.
Amanda Waller.
You think it's going to fall into the same category as
like
this one?
Are we going home with Amanda Waller in that show, or is it specifically just a workplace thing?
Yeah,
I don't just suicide.
I'll be honest. I don't think we needed to see Nick Fury's personal life, and I don't mean that in the way like I don't care. I think it's one of those things where we always want multifaceted characters, but I think that was a part of his life that was just kind of unnecessary. Like He's a cool character. He's a badass. And this show kind of took that away from him a little bit. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt like the wind were taken out of his sails as a character. Like this show for me sort of put like maybe a dent in the Nick Fury armor. Because if you take this show out of the equation, I think everybody loves Nick Fury in the MCU. Then this show came out and it's like, what are we doing with this character?
Yeah.
What's happening here? And I just was like, oh no. Like there was a lot of weird bad takes. We'll get to some of those in a bit. But from the standpoint of somebody who Paigey calls a Marvel shill,
Correctly.
I think this show was a miss for me. I think it missed in a lot of ways. And we had the finale, and I want to talk about this a little bit. And we find out a couple things in the finale. What are you going to say?
No, you finish. I'll bring up my point afterwards.
We get two big things in the finale that I think are going to be damaging for the MCU moving forward. Before we talk about that, do you have something you want to say, or
no? You finish. I'll bring my thing after.
So finding out that Rhodey has been a Skrull since Civil War.
Well, alluded to.
No, the director confirmed it. I have an interview. He confirmed it. The director confirmed.
Did he say, I think?
No, he said yes. He confirmed it with yes. We'll look at it here in a second.
Well, I saw another one where he says, I think.
No, in this interview he says yes. So unless he's
so what's he doing? Changing his answers.
So we confirmed that Rhodey has been a Skrull at least since Civil War. We don't know if it changes or whatever. You saying it's not confirmed? I have a fucking interview, so I'll pull it up here in a second. So either he's lying.
Wow, swearing at Cam. Yeah. What are you doing?
No,
Cam
I'm just like,
you?
Like I'm not
very
like,
rude, Eric.
I don't like being gaslit. I have a fucking interview, so
well, I think I'm getting gaslit because you're saying it's confirmed, but I really
no. I remember him saying I think, but then in this
interview, Jasmine's on my side, Cam's on my side.
Interview. I have an updated interview that
is this other interview from Cosmic Book News? Because
no, it was from Variety.
Variety of what?
Of Life.
That's not the right website. Though.
Anyway. But no, so we have that issue, and then we have the issue of Gaia having every power of every character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and possibly Gravik if he's still alive.
It's literally the most overpowered creature ever, or being
right. So we have Gravik and we have Gaia, who both now have every single power that we've ever seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yep.
We have two, and the thing is, people say Gravik's dead. We didn't see like Gravik's body. Gravik could easily just be in cold storage somewhere or something like that.
Couldn't they get Gravik's body and use his DNA that has all the powers to just replicate it again?
By the way, that technology now exists. Congratulations. We now have technology that can give people powers. Think about that. There's a piece of technology that at the very least can give all Skrulls powers. We don't know if it can be manipulated for humans, but it can give Skrulls all powers. However, if you have a Skrull like Gravik and you insert that DNA into the machine, does that mean that humans would get Skrull DNA and then they can shapeshift? Like, what is this technology? What is this? What, like, they didn't even explain how it works in the show. They didn't even explain how it works. Yes, they showed people designing it and everything, but how the fuck does it work?
Yeah, well, the thing I was going to say is, Eric, out of the Disney Plus shows that have come out, I think this is the 9th, or is it the 8th?
I'd have to think, whatever, but this is the worst Disney Plus show.
How many of them have actually been good? And I know you're a shill, but I have to ask.
Well, I mean, good. I mean,
good. And by good, I mean you'd go and rewatch them. I'm not saying straight after, but like you'd revisit them.
I would not rewatch. We'll do it this way: the ones that I wouldn't rewatch, because that's a better way for me to do it. Because it's less than I like more than half of the Disney Plus shows.
Oh, edgy.
And this one's probably weird because I know a lot of people like it, but I would not rewatch Hawkeye. I just don't think there's much rewatch value for me from Hawkeye. I really don't. I probably wouldn't rewatch She-Hulk, even though I like it. I think that show was fine for one viewing. Maybe I'll go back when season 2 comes out if there's a season 2. Trying to think another one that I wouldn't rewatch. Am I missing something here? Well, Secret Invasion, obviously. I have no reason to watch this ever again. I actually like Falcon and Winter Soldier, but that's because it reminds me of like a Phase 1, Phase 2 show. But if we're going to talk about the ones that I really like that I think would be rewatchable in general, would be something like Loki season 1. I think Loki season 1 is really, really good. Definitely rewatchable, I think. What If, I think is good because it's just a bunch of stories. I think that's an easy rewatch, even if you just want to go back and rewatch like 1 or 2 episodes because they're all sort of standalone. I think WandaVision is a cool rewatch, especially if you really like the whole Agatha stuff and everything. I think the rest of them could be like, if you watch them once, maybe you don't have to watch them again type thing.
So my thing is, are you ready for the edginess?
I love What If. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I really loved What If.
I Am Become Edge. I think there's only one show that's rewatchable in that entire Disney Plus thing, and it's WandaVision.
Not even Loki? You didn't like Loki season 1?
I think Loki's good, but I don't think it's rewatchable.
Okay.
Like, blatantly. I think there's a major concern here. I think they really have to pull their fingers out. Like, their thing with this Disney Plus show, I think it's going to be where Marvel falls apart completely. Regardless of what people want to say with the movies and everything like that, I don't think the movies do enough where you can dismantle it. I think that push into this TV thing where they clearly don't know how a TV show is meant to run is where everything's going to fall apart. They can't keep doing this like lingering.
So do you think the specials are more successful than the shows? Like the Werewolf by Night and the Guardians of the Galaxy?
But they're also just these one-off things. Like, that's not enough to do anything to like. That's like just having like a half-decent finale with a shit season or something. Having one good episode.
I disagree. I think Werewolf by Night is one of the best things in Phase 4.
Eric, I haven't heard anyone talk about that thing outside the day it released. I didn't hear anyone talking about it. It was like pebble in the ocean.
That doesn't mean anything though.
It does when no one's watching it, and that's okay. So
you don't talk about
years
unprompted, right?
Here we go, Eric. Okay, let's use the DCU for example. So you're saying that the Werewolf by Night is enough to like, okay, just that's a really good thing. It reestablishes this faith.
I think it was the best thing in Phase 4 next to like.
So okay, when the Suicide Squad came out and it had all these rave reviews and no one gave a shit. It was like, yeah, but the DCU is still struggling.
I don't judge quality by people talking about something. That's not how I judge quality. That's not my personal metric for quality.
Well, so did you think the Suicide Squad was good?
Yeah.
There you go.
But what does that prove though? What are you trying to say?
Well, everything else around it was struggling, but then you have this thing that comes in and that everyone's like, I think this is a standout, but doesn't do anything to resurrect the other things around it.
But look, we've talked about this before. Are there things that you love that people don't talk about?
I think when it's in the context of a cinematic universe that's had all these other issues around it.
That's not the question, though. That's not the question. I'm not asking.
No, it's the original question. Is that? That's the original topic at hand.
You were asking me my personal opinion.
Like, I was just using another example there. Right. What I'm saying is.
I think that Werewolf by Night, if you're going to do something kind of one-off, like and experiment with it, I think it's easier to do like a 1 hour special than to dedicate all this money to 6 episodes to come out with something.
But that's the thing. I don't think they do these specials if they don't have the TV shows. But that's the reason, is that they need to pull their fingers out and have these TV shows actually be half decent, at least most of them. They can't have, in my opinion, where only one of them is actually rewatchable, and I think maybe only 2, maybe 3 are legitimately good shows. I think WandaVision, Loki, and probably Falcon and Winter Soldier are legitimately good shows, but Falcon and Winter Soldier, in my opinion, has no rewatchable factor around it.
To sort of go on to what you're saying, I would also say that the Daredevil show is very rewatchable. Like Daredevil season.
But that is, I know what you mean. But are we really counting that? Like,
no. But I'm. This is like to your point. Like, the Daredevil show is successful because it doesn't try so hard to connect to anything else. It's just kind of its own show. Same thing with like Luke Cage or Jessica Jones or anything like that. yes, they do have some connective elements, but they're not trying so hard to connect to everything else. And I think a lot of the problem with the Marvel shows is once the movies have come out and you've seen the movies that these shows are connecting to, it may not be any incentive for anybody to go back and watch the shows again at that point.
Yeah. Well, that's
Except
always
for
been
maybe
something.
Loki, because I think Loki is, even though it's connected, it's also very disconnected.
Well, that's the thing, because Loki's not like, we're not expecting Loki to get a movie or to connect majorly. Like the only thing that connect potentially is the Kang stuff. We don't know how much of that's in season 2 of Loki. It could be one episode. A lot of people think it's only going to be one episode, or it's like really, really lightly sprinkled and then leads up to 1 or 2 episodes. So I think it's one of my issues with the DC stuff going forward as well. I don't. I think we're trying to like overly connect stuff with movies and TVs is a recipe for, I don't want to say disaster, but definitely inconsistency across the basis when it comes to viewership and just how like in regards to people being connected with the shows. And Marvel's like, it hasn't even taken like what 2 years of it being to really like becomes a major issue. Like it's happened much quicker than I thought it would. Way quicker than I thought it would.
I do think that the other problem is that the shows came out during the experimental phase. Like phase 4 was the experimental phase.
Yeah, that definitely.
So they released the shows during a lackluster phase of movies where people weren't so in, like they weren't super invested. Like if the TV shows would have connected back like during phase 3 when all of that was happening, I think they might have been more successful in terms of shows. Because back then you would have had a different crop of shows to pick from.
Yeah, I think I actually don't know what they're going to do, because like especially when you have those Bob Iger quotes that come out and saying like, yeah, we're doing too much with these franchises.
No, I agree with that. I do think there is too much. I totally agree with that.
So I'm very, but the thing is that I don't think they're going to do like one show a year. It's either that they release 3 or 4 or they don't do any.
I think the shows have to be retooled into something that actually works or builds into its own story.
You know the way I would do it, and they won't do it, but this, to me, this seems like the smartest thing to do, is that you literally have it's just a one series. I know what you would call it. Marvel fill in the gaps. I know what you'd call it. Something along those lines. But it's literally it's almost like an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. thing. It's not called Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it's like that. And it's an ongoing series that plays out throughout. It almost can be like borderline anthology, but it plays out throughout most of the year, or at least specifically between gaps in movies. That is just the world of Marvel on a smaller scale. And it's not specifically has to be Loki or has to be...
But you know why they won't do that, right?
Oh, because they can't brand it and they can't make it one singular thing. And also it'd have to be multiple episodes and it's just ongoing thing. And they don't want the ongoing thing.
They want to be able to do like t-shirts with like Loki on it or WandaVision or whatever. And they can't do that if they make it.
But to me, that honestly opens up the door for it to even be more interesting and people actually have like a
I don't
mystery
disagree with that.
factor
I think you're absolutely right.
They won't do it though.
The other thing I think is the issue is that some of the ones that could have been movies, like look, okay, so Moon Knight was mostly disconnected. Right? It was mostly disconnected from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That is the show that probably out of all of them had the most like its own identity of what it is. And a lot of people didn't like that. So where is the line on that? How connected should it be and how disconnected should it be? Like for it to be valued,
to be honest,
or canon or whatever.
I think in regards to the question of connectivity, whether like in regards to strong or minor and stuff, I think the most important thing is the quality. And the quality, in my opinion, is the issue. In regards to it, you being, let's say you're Hillbilly Hank or whatever your name is, and you sit down, you just want to watch something, you should be able to sit down and watch one of those series on its own. And sure, you know, it should still be connected in that world in some way, but it should also stand on its own and be good. So there is shows coming out, like Miss Marvel stands on its own, but I don't think Miss Marvel's necessarily a standout show. It's fine. Like it's like you sit there, but you probably forget about it as soon as you end it. You know, there's not this ridiculous connectivity. The same can be said for, you know, the only one that's like specific. Well, Loki doesn't sound on its own. Loki has a lot of like stuff that's connected to the past and stuff like that. So,
I don't think it's necessary though to understand though. Like Loki,
you don't have to like.
So
I think like that's the issue at hand with them. I don't know necessarily how they're going to handle it, but
I think we're going to see if I were in their position, I would focus on putting out more of the good stuff, like the Werewolf by Night, which I know you say people aren't talking about that. I think Werewolf by Night is very experimental. I think it's a very, very cool series. A lot of people like Man Thing in it. They like the idea of, you know, the Elsa Bloodstone and all that. So I think all of that worked really well. The reason why nobody's talking about it is they didn't do anything with it after it came out. There was no discussion of like, hey, we're going to do a show based on this character. We're going to continue the story, or we're going to do another special. It was literally one and done, which is exactly what people ask for. More separate individual things that they can watch that they don't have to connect anything. Werewolf by Night was very disconnected. You could literally sit down and watch that and never, ever watch another Marvel property before or after it. But that didn't work either. I think a lot of it has to do with promotion. It has to do with the streaming services. Because on TV, you can see something advertised weeks and weeks and weeks before it comes out because they can run an ad for it, you know, between another show that they think people like. Say, for example, WandaVision was running, right? And we know Falcon and Winter Soldier was the next series. WandaVision ran for like, you know, 6-8 weeks, whatever, and they could have been advertising the other show during commercial breaks for WandaVision, getting people ready for the next show to come out. You don't get that on streaming services. If you don't really look into what's coming out, I can't tell you how many times I've been on like Netflix or another service, and I see a show that's been out for like 3 years, and I'm like, I never saw the show. I didn't even know the show existed. That's another problem, because there's no way to promote it unless you click on it. Like when you go on Disney Plus, unless I click on the Star Wars button, I don't know half the new stuff that's in there from Star Wars. I went the other day looking through Star Wars and I'm like, I haven't seen this. I haven't seen this. I haven't seen this. It's because they're not promoting it correctly. And I don't know how you would promote something in streaming services anyway. So there's also an issue with not just quality versus quantity, but advertising and promotion, which is something that I think Barbie did really well. And I know Barbie's a movie, but Barbie and Oppenheimer really ramped up the advertising in a way we've never seen. I don't think Warner Brothers or Disney have really done that with anything in years.
Yeah. I'm very interested. It's not necessarily just straight up Marvel or Disney or Marvel or DC or specific brands. I think it's just the services as a whole. But like, the only thing I can think of at the moment is that James Gunn at least can sit there and go, well, let's not do what Disney's doing.
Right. No,
like that's his learning thing.
Well, not particularly Disney, the Marvel division of Disney.
But yeah, but that's the thing. That's why it's so important, I think. And Marvel might have to have a look in the mirror and go, okay, we need to hire TV people.
Yeah.
And I know, yes, they like the woman who wrote She-Hulk was like Rick and Morty and stuff like that, but she wasn't the one running it. She wasn't the showrunner. Like, I think they actually have to get showrunners rather than people that were writers on television.
People have to remember also, we've talked about this during The Flash. Writers of episodes of shows are not the people that control the show. They're told what they're going to be writing, and then the showrunner or the executive producer is the one that comes up with the story for the season.
Yeah, so I think that's what Marvel has to do. I don't know who they got lined up. I don't know who's. I'm not too sure. But I think that's what they have to do. And with James Gunn, I think he's got like one. I think the guy that wrote the Justice League Warworld, which wasn't very well received, is one of the head writers in James Gunn's DC room. So that's a bit of a concern. But yeah, like, let's wait and see what happens. To be honest, I've already made it clear I don't watch the majority of the Marvel stuff that comes out. The only reason I watched Secret Invasion is because it was on Disney Plus and I got Disney Plus. If I didn't have Disney, if it was a movie, I probably wouldn't have gone and seen it. At least based off what if there was this similar story, what was based on the trailers and stuff like that.
We're going to answer a couple of chats, and then we're going to kind of scan through this article, and then we'll do some more Q&A.
Is this the article that's going to confirm or deny the haters?
Yes. So Lone Wolf had a member chat. He goes, Marvel needs the Netflix S.H.I.E.L.D. writers at work. Look, I love S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm wearing my S.H.I.E.L.D. hat right now. I love S.H.I.E.L.D. up until the final 2 seasons. I think the final 2 seasons were a little bit messy, but up until that point, it was literally one of the best superhero shows on television. I will stand by that. And I also think that the Netflix shows, with the exception of Iron Fist, which Scott Buck,
you love,
R.I.P. the Dream, I think the Netflix shows were very good too. But the Netflix shows were loosely. What are you laughing about?
I had to look up Scott Buck. What's he doing now?
Nothing. The Netflix shows were so loosely connected that you could imagine them existing in the movie world, but they didn't have to be. You know what I mean? I don't know. I
Scott
kind of
Buck
like
is
that or whatever.
he is doing
What is he
nothing.
doing? What is he?
Nothing.
Oh, he isn't. Oh, okay.
Last thing he did was Iron Fist.
Oh, wow. Perfect image with the one I
Yeah,
super
man.
chat. I like all the Marvel shows. I want more interconnected. See, some people prefer more interconnectivity, which is something that I think you've said that that's one of the problems with the shows is that they're too interconnected to the movies. So I don't know.
No, I think one of the big issues with the shows is that they claim they're going to be interconnected, and that's why that's almost like their tool to get people to watch, and then it's like either very minor or the show itself is just like a prelude to a movie or whatever it is.
Right.
I think that's one of the issues at the moment with it.
Okay, so let's kind of skate through this article quickly. I do not love Scott Buck. This is Ali Selob here from Secret Invasion, and down here we're not going to read all that. That's a lot. Okay. Audiences have gotten conditioned to the idea of supersized season-long finale, but Secret Invasion's episodes got shorter as the show went along. What was the vision for that? He goes, I don't mean to make it practical film school stuff, but ultimately just watch the cuts and you say, that's too long, that's unfocused, look good on the page, sounded good on the set, not helping our story at this point. There's also some sense of ramping up to an explosive ending, which in my mind means you go faster, not bigger and bloatier. Do you agree with that?
No.
Okay. Let me blow this up a little bit.
Because TV itself has acts.
Yeah.
So you like, what did you say? It was 28 minutes the finale?
It was between 28 and 30 minutes, I think, or maybe 30. Somebody said 32 minutes with credits or something like that.
Unless the whole model is to binge, which it gets released weekly, so it's clearly not a binge model. That's a silly thing to say. It should be longer and it should be structured properly.
Yeah, 32 minutes there with everything. So,
yeah, I mean,
for a season finale that had a 1 hour premiere episode,
if it all came out at once, fair enough, because you treat it as like one big movie.
Right.
Because a lot of people are going to watch it the first night it comes out, or watch half one day, watch the other half the next day, whatever. So if it was all a binge thing, fair enough. But let's be honest, about 80% of people that are going to watch the show are going to watch it week to week.
Yeah,
if not more, with these big IP sort of series, if they come out week to week. So yeah, I don't necessarily go along with that.
And then we have this the next part here. It goes, that honestly makes sense, is what the interviewer said. That honestly makes sense. But that has been one of the questions that's been.
That's the case of like, I have my issues, but I'm not going to cause drama in this interview.
Right. A critique, if you will, is why make this a TV series versus a movie? That's another thing, is this could have been a film. It could have been a 2 to 2.5 hour film. Was a movie framework ever discussed, maybe a TV movie like Werewolf by Night? He goes, that's a great question. By the time I came on board, scripts were written, so he didn't have anything to do with the scripts. And we were talking about 6 episodes. So I don't know. I do know that at some point along the way, Armor Wars was shifted from a series to a movie for various reasons that I don't know. That's interesting.
Is it still a movie?
Yes, it's still.
I've heard about that thing for a while.
Yeah. So that means that he had nothing to do with the writing, and apparently he had nothing to do with any of the editing of the writing, just the episodes themselves. So the scripts are already done. He didn't have any input on that. That's quite interesting. Is it very common for a director to come into a show without having any input on the script at all? Or,
I guess if they're not the showrunner.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
I wouldn't mind it if maybe the showrunner was the director for these things, if you're going to only make them 6 episodes.
Yeah. Here's the really interesting question, and I thought this was quite funny. What have you made of the reaction to the series overall? Because reviews have been mixed. Oh, I don't read reviews. Oh, Eric Wallace playbook. The Eric Wallace playbook. You're somebody in the creative space, and your job is to create content, but you don't read the reviews.
Well, to be honest, to defend him a bit, it's not like he could have gone and changed anything. He's already done the episodes.
I know, but I just find that to be so disingenuous. But then he goes on to say, for me, I view all the storytelling work as a dialogue with an audience. Okay. When the show is finished and put up on the screen, that's my half of the dialogue. And the audience then starts their half of the response to it. I think that's valuable, but I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. So he admits that the response is valuable, but then he says he doesn't read any of it. So how do you get better as an artist if you don't sort of, at least to some degree, listen a little bit to some of the I don't say you don't have to take it to heart. Like if somebody says, I think your content shit, don't offer you any real criticism, then you dismiss it. You're like, okay, whatever, right? You just move on. But if somebody says something that might make you rethink, what are you laughing about? What are you laughing about? What's so funny?
I can just message you opening your phone.
That shit.
You specifically looking at the top comment in the video. This was fucking shit.
Yeah. You just dismiss it and move on, though. Why would you sit and dwell on that? Look, I think if it's look,
but I can imagine what your face would look like. You get the shit over it. Like, what an asshole.
But here's the thing, though. Like, you don't have to take all of it to heart. Like, people say don't read the comments, right? They'll be like, don't read the comments to your videos. And to some degree, I get it. I understand. There are creators that do that. I don't necessarily do that. I do look through and kind of look through what's saying. But if he's saying specifically that he's got one half of the dialogue and they have the other half, then you're not listening to the conversation. He used the term dialogue. Dialogue means an exchange of ideas. And if you're saying that you're one half of that and the audience is the other half, but I'm not reading anything they're saying, then that's not a conversation. That's not dialogue. That's literally just not. That's what he said. Not the same thing. Okay. Yeah. Then he goes on to say here, I don't feel bad about mixed reviews. This is, I'm going to say I'm giving this a little bit of side eye, but he goes, I don't feel bad about mixed reviews. If you had unanimously good reviews, every movie would gross $10 trillion, right? Projects resonate with different people at different times for different reasons. And Marvel has a very devoted, even rabid fan base who have expectations. And when their expectations aren't fulfilled, they move in and the other direction, they give it a thumbs down. I don't know. Is it our job to fulfill their expectations or to tell the story that we're telling? So it's a tricky thing. I would love it if everybody loved it, but I also don't have that expectation myself. So I feel great about the response to it. What does he even mean by that? Like, yes, to some degree, you have to fulfill expectations. You're not making an art house film. You know what I mean? This is a movie that is based on an IP. So you have to at least think about that. Whether you're successful or not is a different story. Like if you come into this and you go, I have the best possible idea I can have for this movie that I think will fulfill the vision that I want to see, but also, you know, continue on with this IP and make it look really good.
I think when you're handling IP and stuff like that, expectations should 100%. You should be trying to fulfill them. You shouldn't be trying to like turn something on its head, or as you said, like some sort of art house black and white movie or whatever it is. Where like people probably don't have an expectation going into it because the movie is its own thing to paint the canvas. But the canvas here is like 90% already painted, 95% painted. You just got to fill in the little white patches.
I mean, Paigey, it's about the history of the Marvel universe for the last since the 90s. That's what the show is. So you can't come into this and go, I don't care about expectations. Fuck it. You know, I mean, why did you even take the job? If it's not, this is something that I feel like it's not even a passion project. You're coming into this because I will say this about Secret Invasion. It feels like it had a bunch of ingredients, but the complete wrong recipe. Because you had everything there to make the show work, and
the thing is that not. The director obviously had also tried a bit because there's it's got a different feel to it. It feels like very espionage,
which I
especially
think was
for those first 2 episodes as well. Yeah. But then it sort of falls off that, and it sort of just starts to feel very bland and
cookie cutter. It doesn't feel very visionary.
And it's sort of, I don't know, just falls apart and feels like you're watching. Honestly, it falls apart and feels like you're watching something like Kraven the Hunter.
Yes.
By the end of it.
Yeah. You know what?
The first 2 episodes built a tone I'm very interested to see where this goes. And then it sort of becomes what most people would expect Morbius or Kraven the Hunter to be.
You know, a lot of people, for example, with the ending of this, we have a piece of technology that gives people powers, and now we have people that have all the powers of every character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it happened in the last 5 minutes of the episode. No explanation for how this technology works. No explanation of any of that. It feels like as the Flash went on, they stopped trying to explain things. You know what I mean? Like I got really annoyed with that. This felt like that. Like it was like he's talking about cutting stuff out of the episode that didn't matter. Where was the explanation for any of this? And I realized it was a spy show and that you don't want to show too much. But things like that matter because now we have this device sitting in Russia that gives people superpowers and has the harvest inside the computer.
You know literally what the ending should have been, then it can lead to something bigger because the show does it anyway. We don't need that fight between Gaia and Gravik. We don't need that. Like it's so, in my opinion, it's so unnecessary because I think you can actually remove that, include some other stuff where you have Nick Fury and Gaia, or maybe specifically Nick Fury, thinking that they've stopped what Gravik's trying to do with, you know, trying to like whatever he's doing with the Skrull and taking over people's lives and everything like that. And they think they've sort of shut down this operation. And you can sort of keep numbers down. You know how there's that conversation between Talos and Nick Fury on the train?
Yes.
Where like Talos reveals like how many people have taken over. You don't reveal that. You keep that hidden. And you think that it's just this just smaller like Skrull community where they've taken like 1,000 people or something and become and the Skrulls are, and then you have that reveal at the end where there's that massive bunker down the bottom with all the bodies there that the Skrulls have taken over, and then they realize that this is a much bigger thing. And then it leads into something else, or that's in only like episode 3 or 4, and that's like the big oh shit moment, and then you got to go further, you dive into that more, whether it leads into some other series or whatever it is, or a movie.
There's something annoying about Rhodey as well. We'll talk about that in the next quote that we get to, because there's a couple things I have an issue with when it comes to the whole like War Machine thing. So we go through the interview here, and I think this is where it's at. Right here.
Here's the thing, Cam. I don't mind the final fight. I thought it looked visually cool. There's only like 1 or 2 visual effects shots where I think is dodgy. I think people are being way too hard on that scene. I don't think it actually looks that bad.
No, it doesn't look bad to me.
I think in the context of the series and what the series was trying to do, I don't think it's necessary.
So here it says, tell me about Don Cheadle playing Rava and Rhodey. It's mentioned that Colonel Rhodes has been held captive for a long time. Was the hospital gown he's wearing when Rhodey rescued a hint that the Skrulls kidnapped him after his spinal cord injury in Captain America Civil War? Yep. So unless there's something I misunderstand about that response.
Well, that's the issue is, Eric, is that in another interview he says, I think. So that's what, and to
I'm
be honest,
that,
I thought when you were saying like, oh no, he confirms, he goes, yeah, that's confirmed. Like that's his quote. But he says, yep.
So I mean, I've said yep. A question and I say yes or yep to you, you're going to consider that a confirmation.
Well, if you said yes, I would be more confident because yep.
No, we're not doing that. That is confirmation that as far as he knows.
Okay.
That is the accurate answer. Now, the issue I have with this is
Eric, come on, mate.
What do you mean?
Oh,
that is a confirmation. If James Gunn said yes to something, you would say confirmed.
Yeah, but this isn't James Gunn or the equivalent for this one, Kevin Feige. This is the guy who says like, I don't care about reviews.
So we're just so now we're living in a world where the word yep doesn't mean yes. Is that where we're living?
No, yep means yep.
Okay, so he confirmed that it's been since Civil War. Are we disputing that?
No, he said yep to that person's question about it. He didn't confirm it.
Okay, we'll just move on from that then. All right, the other part here is I'm not going to argue about that because I'm trying to have a discussion about it.
Oh, stepping away from an argument. Usually you're all
because you're playing games now. You're trolling. And
I'm not playing games. I'm being serious.
If anybody else answered yep to something, you would say that's confirmed. No, right now you're playing devil's advocate because you're trying to fuck with me because of the chat.
Cam says in another interview he said Marvel wouldn't tell him when exactly Rhodey was replaced.
I just said that's fine. In this interview, he confirms it.
So
which one is the real answer?
Okay, so if he said in another interview, nope. Which one's the real interview?
Which is the discussion I was trying to have. But you're disputing whether or not yep is a confirmation, and I'm not going to do that.
I don't think it's a confirmation. Yep is yep.
Right. So we're not going to talk about it. Here's the next thing. I will.
Why'd you bring it up?
About this thing. Because I thought you would go, okay, well, that's interesting. Let's talk about this then. Like, instead of being a troll about it.
Well, what's the conversation you want to have after that, following that?
About it. Because I had something to follow that up with, and you just don't want to do it. So we're not.
What is it?
No, we're not going to do it. I'll ask you an earlier question about the scene. This seems to be introducing Gaia Super Skrull as Marvel's new most powerful being. How was it decided which Avengers power she was going to get to show off? He goes, well, simply put, it comes from Kevin Feige, who says it's all fair game. That's best expressed in the moment when Gravik takes the vial from Nick Fury, puts it in the computer where it's analyzed, and we see all the pure superpowers ever. That's like the moment where we're like, okay, this is going to be something. He goes, so the decisions are Kevin Feige, then the story is just practically. So he wasn't the one that even had anything to do with her getting all those powers. That was directly from Kevin Feige.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. It would have been weird because it would be in the scripts.
Right. So that means that according to this, unless, again, this is one of those things where we're disputing whether or not this is what he means, she now has all the same powers that Gravik has, and that was Kevin Feige's decision. Which leads me to question, what is the plan for this character? Is this like a Thunderbolts thing? Or because we can't just have this like omni-powerful person walking around the Marvel Cinematic Universe and not follow up on it. She can't just, this can't be it for this character.
Do you think that the UK government, because that's who she's working with now, or the UK side of things, can harvest the DNA from her where they can create people?
My question is though, how? Like, we're talking about somebody that's like basically Superman plus. Like, she's got all of these powers. Like, okay, so the only thing is maybe she can't use them all at one time. You know, sort of like how a shapeshifter can only use whatever powers they have when they're shapeshifting. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why she has to, like, when it was like the Groot arm, it has to be Groot, or the Drax arm has to be Drax. Maybe she's not always Captain Marvel unless she's, wait a minute, hold on. Wouldn't she start to look like Carol Danvers if she was using Carol Danvers' powers? Because every other time they used powers, they looked like the person, even Drax, they looked like the person they were taking the powers from. But 2 times in the battle, she did not do that. One of them was with Captain Marvel. The other was with Ghost.
I think they were trying to do with the whole reference to the comics with the Super Skrull and like the quadrants, how like each arm and leg becomes the power, but the head doesn't. But then the only issue is that
here we go. Yeah, Mantis and Captain Marvel's powers together.
So,
she did, yeah.
And also, Gravik's ear turns into Abomination's ear when he uses Abomination's power. He gets like an abomination.
So yes, they can use multiple powers, but does it have to be a conscious thing, or do they just always have them? That's the question, I guess. I don't know. It's so confusing. Either way, they were talked about the Sentry being a villain in the Thunderbolts movie, and now I'm leaning more towards maybe she's the villain of the Thunderbolts movie, because remember they have to have all the Thunderbolts to fight her. I would say it has to be a character like her.
I mean, how do you take that down? She's Captain Marvel with Hulk and what's like Ebony Maw, who was already overpowered himself.
Right. Ghost now she can phase through stuff now because she has ghost powers from like the Ant-Man movies. What else does she have? I mean, she has everybody. I mean, technically she has like Asgardian DNA now, so she's strong like Thor as well. So does that stack? Does she have strength levels beyond like everybody because now she's just as strong as all these characters? She could basically transform into the Hulk.
Questions.
So she could turn into the Hulk and fly around with the powers of Captain Marvel. How do you stop that?
Yeah, Flying Hulk.
Flying Hulk with Captain Marvel's powers and Ebony Maw's telekinesis powers.
Yeah.
I don't know where we go with this. This is just, and imagine if Gravik, I know we think Gravik is dead, but imagine if Gravik isn't dead. That gives us another Skrull with all of those powers. And they could easily say at some point that another Skrull accessed that system and got powers as well. We don't know because we don't know anything about that technology.
Oh, DJ Erickson the Third. Questions.
This is bad. Was that it? I think that was the last thing. Yeah, that was the last thing on there. So big miss from Secret Invasion. I don't know what Marvel's going to do moving forward with this, because it sounds to me like a lot of bad decisions were made, and they were made at the top end. You had mentioned something about you didn't think Kevin Feige is as hands-on as he has been. Do you think that might have played a little bit into the failure for the series, or do you think it's just a build-up of all of it over time?
I think it's just like maybe like I'm not too sure what like the development process for like a lot of these things are. Like how much prep time is there before they jump into it? But
Yeah.
I think it's, I don't know. To be honest, like I have to ask you this because you're the shill in the house.
Mhm.
Shill boy. Marvel shill man. Extraordinaire.
Mhm.
Number one.
We be shilling.
We be hashtag we be shilling.
I
Hashtag
should make that song.
Disney Plus and shill. Do you think that Feige should have just left?
No.
So you think Feige's fine staying now instead of just leaving when his legacy was at the top after Endgame?
I think he's stretched
Or
too
do you think they would have been like, oh, you're leaving when like you're not going on, like you're not trying to take on the next challenge post Endgame? Because I think it'd be a bit naive to say that. I think you'd be in denial if you said that the MCU wasn't struggling post Endgame. Though I think like saying it's because it's woke is silly. I think it's just a quality issue.
Yeah, I don't think woke has anything to do with it. I think he's stretched too thin. That's what I think is happening. I think that
By that, what do you mean?
Like balancing the sheer amount of content that they were putting out with Bob
And the
Iger,
expectation
or
around
Bob,
that
or Bob
content.
Chapek. I mean, yes, because he has to balance not only the movies now, which was like what 2-3 movies a year, but he also has to balance like 4 or 5 TV shows a year as well, and sort of keep all that together. And I think ultimately he should be the person to make final decisions. But I think there needs to be another, like, you know how they used to have a TV division person? Like they used to have somebody do the TV division. I think maybe he should have said, I'm going to pick someone that I think that I can trust to oversee the TV shows and then just report to me the stuff that I need.
You know what the big issue is that Disney has come out and Kevin Feige's come out. A lot of said that they only really hire from within, but everyone that would be associated with there would be a possibility of being in that position is attached to movies. They need a TV person. They need someone who knows how a TV show runs, how it's meant to be formatted. What's
somebody
the right
like a Greg Berlanti,
Well, not even necessarily Greg Berlanti, but even just someone that's been a showrunner on a couple of shows, like
Eric Wallace.
And honestly, you might not like the meme, but even Eric Wallace would be better than probably in regards to formatting a show.
Yeah.
And the thing is, regardless of what you want to think, Eric Wallace still, was able to construct 40, 42-minute scripts and stuff like that, regardless of what you think there. But to be honest, I'd probably watch the final season of The Flash over Secret Invasion. I honestly would. Wouldn't watch Arrow season 4.
I don't know if I'd watch either one of them, to be honest.
No, none of this. None of this. I wouldn't do either.
I think they're equally bad.
No, none of this. Pick one. None of this. They're equal.
They're equally bad to me.
No, pick one. You got to pick one. None of this.
Secret Invasion.
The shill has arrived. He's come out the door. He was hiding. He was hiding before.
See, the last season
he's emerged.
The last season of The Flash was more damaging to me as a human being. That last season was awful. There was only 2 episodes that I liked.
At least you would have smiled once during watching The Flash's final segment.
I was annoyed. Secret Invasion annoys me less because I could just ignore
it.
But
what about the West Allen episode at the beginning? You cried with like joy.
I did not. No.
Okay, what would you rather watch? Legends season 7.
Does this trigger you?
No, not really, because I know it's false. Anyway, so would you rather watch Legends season 7 or we'll go Secret Invasion?
Legends season 7.
What about Arrow season 4 versus Secret Invasion?
Arrow season 4.
Oh, well, the shield came out. He's been locked back up.
Flash season 9 is some of the worst TV I've ever watched.
Eric, you are getting so orange. You're getting more orange by the minute.
I don't have a flute though. She's
What's the Oompa Loompa?
I don't know. I can't do it. I would
Well,
get a
Willy
copyright
Wonka
strike.
does it, I think, but I think anyway.
I'm not getting. Yeah, I'm not getting. Should I do a poll? I don't think I should do a poll on that. I think it's pretty obvious that Secret. of
Here's the
Invasion
thing.
was good.
Can we get you a pair of white overalls? Like that's the thing I really want to see, and a green wig.
Wait. Should I cosplay an Oompa Loompa before the Wonka movie? Like right before the Wonka movie comes out? Should that be?
I think so. Now you've leaned closer to the camera, and your orangeness has sort of wiped away a tiny bit. But when you get now, you've turned a bit more orange.
Maybe, possibly.
Oompa, loompa, doompa-dee.
Are we forgetting Flash season 7? No, look. Okay, I don't like Flash season 5. That's probably or has been up until a certain point my least favorite season. I would watch the Flash season 5 over the final season of the Flash. The only episodes that I would watch in the final season of the Flash are the Arrow episode and the stuff with Eobard. Like that one the Eobard episode. That's it. Those are the only 2 episodes I will ever watch against from the final season of The Flash, unless I want to torture myself and rewatch it for like scientific reasons. But yeah, the last season of The Flash was bad. Are you looking up Oompa Loompas?
No, I know
think
you'd
you
like
are.
me to.
I think
I'm
you
not
are.
looking up Oompa goddamn Loompas.
Look, Mayada says I'd watch Secret Invasion over Flash season 9 any day. Wow.
Oompa, loompa.
So 7 is the worst. Do you think 7 was the worst season of the Flash over season 5 or season 9?
I think 7 and 5 are combined. I don't think 9's the worst season. 9 has like some good episodes in it, like that bring it up. But I think 7 and 5 are,
Armor. What are your thoughts on Armor Wars? Now said Armor Wars will be a movie instead of a TV series. I think that's probably going to be better for it.
I don't know.
To be honest.
Who knows? But what's that even about now? Because I don't think it was necessarily probably planned that like I don't even know what the fuck's going on there.
I think this reveal of Rudy being a Skrull was what caused them to change Armor Wars.
Probably because they realized
Because
they had
think
to
about it.
reformat it.
Think about it. They'd have to like, how do you tell a story about him if he's been locked up for years? Like, it doesn't make any sense at all. Because regardless of when he was locked up, if you think about it, the MCU had a time jump, which means that like, yeah, it was a time jump. So it's been a long time. That was another question is I was wondering if those things they were locked in, were they being exposed to radiation that whole time? Because wasn't that on the base in Russia?
Yeah.
So they would have been just sitting there being exposed to radiation that
Like,
entire time.
Bathing in it.
Also, it wasn't like a cryo chamber, which means they would have been aging while they were
Just like a
too.
random like warehouse sort of like.
And were they
hallway or
being
something.
fed? Were they just bodies just not withering away? Was it like suspended?
Well, I'm assuming
animation?
that whatever those things are were like containment things where it.
Maybe
So it's
it
like
wasn't
a-
explained. It wasn't explained. That's the problem. When those things were introduced, I thought they were just meant to like take your memories away or whatever. I didn't think it was like a long term, like lock them up and yeah, I don't know. He's been gone to the MCU for 10 years. 10 years would make somebody look very different. So even if it was just a containment unit to keep them sedated, is it also a cryostasis where they just don't age? That's yeah.
I don't know,
Look,
DJ Erickson.
I also think that Secret Invasion did a lot of things right up until about the midway point, and then it just kind of fell off, and the finale was just bad. Hero's Journey, you're asking too many questions. We don't have any of the answers to that because apparently none of that was important enough to be in the show. There we go. There we go.
So Eric, when the Oppenheimer bomb went off, did you go?
What?
Did your?
Why are we segueing into that?
I don't know. What were your thoughts? What were your thoughts when the sonic boom went?
It wasn't to stand up and cheer in the theater like some of the videos I've seen that are cringe.
Oh my god! If you were getting up and applauding the bomb going off in Oppenheimer, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Because what the
that was
hell
bad.
is that?
Yeah.
However, you did get up and go to the front of the theater when I'm Just Ken came on. You said, I know how you'd rehearse the dance moves.
Well, I've already seen the movie twice now, so I feel like I've contributed. So
I'll tell you what, though. I have no idea if it's a coincidence. It's planned. They're going with a thing. One of the radio stations I listen to when I'm driving the car, I haven't heard this song on the radio for a while.
Don't tell me Butterfly came on.
No, it was Push by Matchbox 20. And it's a song that I think they would put a play there, but I don't really listen. Like if they play a Matchbox 20 song, usually it's like 3 a.m. or something like that, or one of those songs. But I'm sitting there in the car just like, woo! I felt like I was Ken.
Hold on.
I wanna push you around.
I was just checking. Yeah, the streaming of that song jumped up a lot the last week.
It brought off. Maxwell's 20 is probably looking at their bank accounts going, hey, not bad.
All right, so I guess we should address this and then we'll wrap everything up. The Catwoman review. Paigey was not excited about Catwoman. I can tell.
You can tell last week. As soon as Eric said it, I knew people were going to troll and pick that movie.
Yeah. So he was not happy with it. So I didn't see any reason to do it if he didn't want to watch it, because that would have been pointless, because it just wouldn't be fun to sit for an hour and talk about a movie that he didn't really care about. So it just
the equivalent of Catwoman being picked to me was Eric getting triggered over Yep. So like that was
yeah.
If you want to put like a visual thing there.
Yeah. So we've decided that we're gonna not Catwoman is. I will do something on Catwoman, but it's not going to include Paigey. So just so you know, because he doesn't want to watch it. So,
it's too woke for me, so I can't.
Yeah. So look, Maddie says, I don't think anyone blames you. Well, apparently they do, because like 70% of the people voted.
Well, I blame Eric because he's the one that chose it.
So I'm going to put four more. I'm going to put 4 choices up, but Catwoman is not a choice because I will do something with Catwoman later. So
I've got a series for you. How long until I die? Like that's like, and then you watch a movie like Catwoman. How long until I want to throw myself from a building?
Have you? Yes, the weekly streams are going to happen. That's what we're getting ready to ask the question.
It's just we want it to be good movies, not
so
shit ones, or like unequivocally shit. You know.
Okay, so are you sticking with the choices you had last week, or you want to pick something different?
You know what? You know what I think we should do.
What?
I think the chat should choose the movies. Like they pick the movies, then you put them in the poll.
But how do we determine like which ones we're gonna do? Like
they list them and we go, oh, we'll pick that one.
No, but I mean, how do we pick from that to determine what the movie?
And then we do a poll.
But there might be more than 4 choices.
No, but you only pick 4. You pick the 4 best choices from the chat.
Okay.
Or the ones that sound the most intriguing.
So and by the way, this isn't movies that we haven't seen. It can be any movie. So,
it can be movies that we've seen or movies that we haven't seen. It can be a combination.
Okay. So just drop some movies.
But like you can put a movie that can be like
nothing in the cinema. Nothing in the cinema is right. It has to be something we can watch at home. So
but you can make it a movie that's like, don't pick like a clearly shit movie. Like don't pick a troll movie. But pick one that's either that you think is legitimately good or that you think is like gray. You know, like
and instead of 4, we'll pick 3. We'll do
like what's a movie that like what's a movie like I'm trying to think of a movie that I might like but Eric wouldn't like. Can you think of an example?
I don't want to. Why would we do that? Because that's just basically what happened last week. You didn't want to see
Catwoman.
So
you like Catwoman?
I would have watched Catwoman.
No, but do you like Catwoman? Not would you watch it? Would you like Catwoman?
Right, but you don't like Catwoman.
No, but don't do this. Don't avoid the question. Do you like Catwoman?
I think it's a fun movie.
No. Do you like Catwoman?
But what I'm saying though is, why are you asking? What does that have to do with anything?
Because that's what I'm saying. Like you can pick something in the gray where like some people might like it, some people might not like it.
But what I'm saying is, you didn't like Catwoman, which is
exactly.
So we're not going to pick a movie that I don't like and watch that movie, because that's not fair.
So we're not watching.
Want to do it last time.
So we're not watching Snowtown. That's what you're saying.
No, we're not watching Snowtown.
What's the point then?
No, I don't want anybody to pick a movie that I actively don't like. There's movies that I will watch, but I don't want to like engage in something that I do not like.
The Outfit.
I don't know what that is.
I feel like I've heard of it, but this is a fucking scary movie. I tell you, 2022 psychological crime drama.
See Dragon Ball Evolution. That's exactly the kind
Well,
of
that's a
movie
troll.
you would know. Yeah.
To be fair, when I was a kid, I didn't mind that because that came out when I was like young. That came out when I was like 12 or something.
Yeah. We've already talked about Forrest Gump. Let's not do any movies that we've talked about on the Twitch stream, please.
Can we get your Forrest Gump impersonation?
It's really bad. I don't do impersonations. We've already talked about this.
Jenny,
I'm
I
not
was
good at it.
running.
I'm not good at impersonations.
And from that day forward,
Rush
I
Hour
was
isn't bad.
running.
Rush Hour is not a bad choice, actually. Okay, we'll put Rush Hour in. Rush Hour is going to be one of them.
The Nightingale. That's a Australian.
We need two more. We need two more. Rush Hour is one of them. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Is that one with Sean Connery in it? Is that the one?
Yeah. Sean Connery. That was an awful. That was an awful impersonation.
The outfit takes place in 2 rooms. It's about the conversation and survival of the people in there. No, we're not doing Tusk.
I wanna push you.
I don't even think we can talk about that on YouTube without getting some sort of a strike on it. My Adventure with Superman. Look, how do you feel about this right here, Paigey?
I saw Heatwave and I've seen Deathstroke and I saw some other one. I can't remember what it was. They didn't look very good. What was the? I have to ask this: how many times this week have you listened to "Butterfly" by Crazy Town?
Like maybe once when I first got back from the movie. I need to find the version you were talking about, the one that they did for the movie or whatever.
It's on the soundtrack. It's called Butterflies. It's not very like I prefer the original by far.
Let's see. Inception. Would you watch Inception again or no? Tenet is tough. That is a tough movie.
I saw Tenet. I don't like Tenet. I think it's Nolan's worst movie, so I don't like Tenet that much.
The Greatest Showman.
I don't like it at all. I mean, I'd watch The Greatest Showman. I've seen it a couple of times.
Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
I haven't seen that yet. That Nicolas Cage movie. I've seen it advertised. Like it's on one of the.
I thought it was really good.
Service. I haven't seen it yet though. It's on my to watch list.
The Karate Kid Part 1. The Amazing Bulk. What is that? I've seen like 2 people say that. I don't know what that is. All right, we'll do Unbearable Weight because Paige hasn't seen it. So.
It's one of those straight to DVD movies where they try and the ones they sell in the $2 shops to try and get fool people into thinking it's a like instead of the Avengers they'll do the Revengers or something.
Batman Begins, Mystery Men. Mystery Men was funny actually. The Martian. The Martian wasn't bad either. South Texas Shark. All right, Paige, you pick whatever. Look at the chat and pick one for the third one because I've already got 2 up there. So, or
what did you? If you said what you've picked?
I've got Rush Hour as the first one, and Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is the other one because you haven't seen that one yet. So that might be a good one to do. So we have one. We're gonna do 3. So one more.
I'm gonna do like a bit of a random one. Scrolling up and down the chat. See what my cursor line's on. Oh, it landed on Cater's comment about Butterfly sampling Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers Baseline. That's not a movie. Batman vs Dracula. Fuck no. Primal Fear. That's what my thing landed on. After,
let me see. What is that? It has to be something we can talk about on YouTube. So, Primal Fear has Edward Norton in it. It's about an altar boy accused of murdering a priest.
Isn't that got Richard Gere?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. I don't know if I've seen it or not.
Is that what you're picking? Primal Fear.
We'll pick Primal Fear. All
right. So these are the 3 choices. We're gonna put this up for a minute, and you guys pick what you want us to talk about. There you go. We had a chat from Lance that says,
"Twerk on them haters."
Hello, long-time viewer, first time witnessing the awesome that is Paigey. Okay, thank you, Lance.
I can understand that one. I want to push.
Jermaine says Predestination. Have you seen that before?
Is that like a Final Destination prequel?
I don't know. I've never heard of that.
But Ethan Hawke, 2014. It's got a 7.4 on IMDb.
Yeah. Well, Jermaine, we'll add that in for next week. We'll put that in next week's choices. Predestination. Let me write it down so I don't forget that.
I wanna push you around. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will.
All right.
Sing it, Eric.
We probably got hit with a copyright claim on that one.
Is that because my singing is so good it's like the original?
That's really not what it is.
You know what song I was listening to before?
What?
Well, Twerk City Bitch, but then I also listened to
Munch by Ice Spice.
No, that was you. I was also listening to Kryptonite by $3 Down.
That's a good song.
Yeah. I was surprised, like, I don't know. Do you think that's a song that James Gunn would willingly use in Superman Legacy? Is that too on the nose?
I don't know. His comments have got people a little bit worried because he talked about how Superman doesn't like. Well, he said something about Superman doesn't want to hurt people or something like that, and people were complaining that that doesn't seem very Superman-like because what was?
Do you mean like if he's fighting a villain, he doesn't want to punch the villain?
Yes, yeah, sort of like he doesn't want to. He doesn't like hurting people. So I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm gonna find the exact quote. Hold on. Let's see. He says that his Superman will never kill anyone. He doesn't want to hurt people. That was the quote that he said.
Is this a fucking G up?
What?
Apparently, Lowrider by War is in the Blue Beetle movie, which stars George Lopez.
Right.
For those that know, Lowrider is the theme song to the George Lopez show. That like the oh my little roll rider. That apparently that's in that. Okay, so I was just talking about whether Kryptonite by $3 Down a bit too on the nose to have in the Superman movie. Is Low Rider not as too on the nose songs to have in a DC movie starring George Lopez?
If it comes on when he walks into the room, that's.
I'm sorry if that's his intro song, like a wrestler or something.
Well, no, I mean like he's like working on a car or something, and then they go outside and that song starts playing. It's gonna be.
I'm sorry if that is
Paigey, you want to answer this question?
What the fuck is Superman Solar?
You didn't hear about that?
No, what is it?
It's a fan film about Superman. I thought we watched the trailer together on Twitch one night.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Most of those Twitch streams go in one ear out the other.
Yeah, there's some controversy around it. We won't get into it here. We'll save that. We'll say maybe we'll do a whole discussion on it. I'm definitely more DC than I am Marvel. I'm definitely more DC than I am Marvel. Paigey, how do you feel about that?
So what did you say? I was listening to Low Rider.
I'm definitely more DC than Marvel. Do you agree with that?
No, you are a Marvel shill in and out. Like embarrassingly Marvel shill.
Blue Beetle is not delayed. Blue Beetle is going to come out because I think DC's just ready to like basically put it out there. I don't think they care, honestly.
So you're saying when Low Rider comes on the Blue Beetle movie, you will be boogieing? I
will.
Or you'll jump up and down a trampoline in slow motion.
I would record it, but this brings me to my question for you before we go. What do you think about this trend of people like taking pictures and filming in movie theaters and not getting in trouble? Have you seen that recently?
And posting them on TikTok and going like part one? What do you mean part one?
Yeah.
There's 2 parts. There's 7 parts. People are recording.
It is a offense. Like you can literally go to jail for that.
I cannot talk about an issue like the one. Like I reckon. Oh my god! There should be some. The thing is that most like if you go to a premiere or anything like that, they have that thing like a thing at the front that can sense the infrared on a camera. So if they're like on your phone, so if you're recording, they can it blinks weird. It's like almost like a laser pointer for them. They go, that person right there is filming. But obviously, in like when it's like a 10 a.m. session on a Monday, they're not going to care.
Or in a random like maybe a movie theater that's not a regular like big budget.
I can't believe people go to the theaters and their first thought is, let me waste my battery and internal space on my phone to record this and not just sit down and watch. And then we wonder why people go, I didn't get the movie. Yeah, it's because you fucking weren't watching it. It's because you're recording half the goddamn thing.
Somebody was taking pictures at Oppenheimer and they're like, oh my God, I took a picture and forgot my flash was on. Why the fuck were you taking a picture?
Yeah.
Like, who gives a fuck that your flash was on? You shouldn't have been taking a picture in the first place. 2 parts without getting handcuffed. That's hilarious. I've never been in a theater where somebody's been on their phone where they've been taken out of the theater. It's never happened, but it should, because you're not supposed to be doing it.
I went to a thing and it wasn't me. It was a friend I went full Karen. Even though I wouldn't say it was Karen, it was just like head on your shoulders, like not accepting bullshit. But some person was like openly talking on the phone. This is the second day of the movie being out, by the way. So it wasn't like 2 weeks in or something like that. But they're openly on the phone for about 10 minutes talking.
In the movie.
And not like whispering either, but like just like yeah, like talking normally. But it wasn't like this loud action movie. Just like, are you kidding me? Yeah. So friend went down, got the an usher and got them out.
Did they say anything? Did they stop them from doing it?
We got a man, we got a refund. We didn't get a refund, we got like these coupon things that we could use.
So I don't know if delay is the right word or if they just what they did, but it is Blue Beetle is coming out like a month later in Australia.
September 16th or 18th.
I don't think they ever gave a reason for it though, right? They never gave a reason for why, or
it might be school holidays. Hold on. Let me have a look. School holidays.
Yes, I do, Anthony. I do like the series. I think that this past episode did some bullshit with Lois Lane, but
okay, so school holidays start September 25, so a week after Blue Beetle comes out. So that might be why. Yeah. So they probably want like a movie there for.
I don't care about the Flash podcast that Escape from the Midnight Circus. I don't care.
It's already out, I think. If you buy it, it's either all out or it's got like one episode left. I think if you bought the Blu-ray, you already have the entire thing.
Yeah, I don't really care about it. All right, so here we go. We're gonna.
You know what's worse than someone talking on a phone openly for 10 minutes? Someone bringing a baby to a horror movie. I went and saw It Chapter 2, and this woman and was like with a friend. They had 2 children. One was like 4 years old. The other was like a legitimate like baby. Like I don't know if it was fresh out of the womb. I'm not too sure, but it was.
She gave birth in the theater. She had the baby in the theater. I was like,
it's done. Time for It Chapter 2. Yeah. But crying baby and scared as shit little kid. I'm like, what are you doing? Have I told this story before about my older sister? No. So when my older sister was young, she was like 5 years old. She went to this daycare. I think it was the last time she went to this daycare. But she went there, just as a thing. And then they had like an excursion thing. They went to the movies and the parents knew about this. They didn't know what movie it was though. They just knew they were going to the movies and everything like that. My sister gets home and they had like the record of everything. Guess what movie the 2 daycare people took a bunch of like 4-year-old kids to go see?
I have no idea.
It was a Kubrick film.
Okay.
Full Metal Jacket.
Oh my God.
If you have not seen Full Metal Jacket, it's like full on war.
It's violent.
Blood.
Violent, yeah.
Vincent
Dismemberment. Death.
Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, you wouldn't take a 12-year-old to see it, let alone a bunch of 5-year-olds.
And to even go further than that, when that movie came out, I remember them saying it was one of the most accurate representations of like war.
Of war and PTSD around war, or like the experience that lead to PTSD around it. It's an awesome movie. It's one of the best movies ever made. I mean, it's Kubrick, so
eyes wide shut.
I mean, I know what's worse. I'd probably say. I mean, the only other movie I can think that's probably a Kubrick film that's maybe a bit more dodgy on the eyes is maybe Clockwork Orange. But
yeah,
can you do a Kubrick face?
There's a picture. I have to find the picture.
No, you got to pull your glasses down, then like sort of like.
Yeah, no, I have a picture somewhere.
Do it.
No, I need the picture for reference. It doesn't work otherwise. So the chat has spoken, and the movie we will be reviewing, because this is one that Paigey said is okay, is Rush Hour with 66%. The original Rush Hour. Now it's going to be interesting talking about that movie because a lot of
I haven't seen that original Rush Hour in 8. I think I watched Rush Hour 3 a couple of years ago.
What
I think it was on Netflix or something.
Where to watch Rush Hour?
I mean, if I have to
Might be-
pay like 99 cents to rent it, I'll do that on iTunes. But prefer to get
It is
for free.
on Rush Hour is on Netflix and Max. So it's on both of them.
Yeah, I'd have to. Oh no, it's on a streaming service here that
Okay.
I don't have, but my friend has. So I'll get their login
Yeah.
for it.
Let's see.
Saw
Barbie
X
just made
was
700 million as of tonight.
Not surprised. I mean,
Final
I said this
predictions
to
on
you.
Barbie before we go. Final predictions on Barbie.
I know, like as I said to you before, the thing, like it's sort of crazy how, in Australia, like you just don't see this, like the theaters selling out and stuff like that, and like it's just we're now into past a week of it, like we're into the second weekend, and I had to look for the 6 o'clock session tonight in a movie theater that's usually dead and it's almost full, and every single night it just seems to be almost full. It's sort of crazy. Now, the good thing is that I think it's a really good movie, so I'm happy that it's like that. And also I like Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, so I'm happy that like it's two people that I like. So yeah,
there is a very high probability that Barbie will make $1 billion at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unless they have a shit third weekend, it's going to make $1 billion.
Yeah,
or at the very least 900 million plus. And Oppenheimer was like almost 400 million, I think, which is crazy for a
Oppenheimer's
movie.
doing really well as also,
Yeah.
and yeah. I haven't rewatched either of them. I was gonna go not yesterday, the day before. I got caught up, so I'll probably see it this week. So I'll probably go through both of them again.
Apparently, I think Laura up here said the Saw X movie trailers. We're not going to watch it here. Are you a fan of the Saw series or no?
No, I don't really like the torture porn stuff.
Have you ever seen any of the movie? I've watched a couple.
I've seen up to, I think I've seen up to Saw 4. I think. I think Saw 4. Yeah, I want to say that. But the only one that I like as a movie that I'd probably be able to rewatch on its own is just the first one, like the really like low budget one, the first one.
Sometimes the originals are the best. Like, what is it? Final Destinations had like 7 or 8 movies now or something, and I still remember the first one. I don't think I've seen any of the other ones.
Well, the first one's not as brutal. Like then they just become like these, like how are they going to find these like disgusting ways to die?
Right.
It's like no. Like the worst one is like, I think it's like it goes like over the top. It's like the one that they avoid, the one on the bridge.
Which one?
Bridge collapse. It's like a bridge collapses.
Yeah, but which, do you know which one that is?
I think that's called The Final Destination. It's like the one where like they stopped using the numbers and then they went back to the numbers after. That one's like the.
Oh no, Fetman plays Saw X is coming out the same day as the new Paw Patrol movie. Move over, Barbenheimer. Here comes Saw Patrol.
The funny thing is that will become the meme. Like the whole double feature thing is going to become a meme now. But
yeah, but they're going to find the worst, like the most opposite movies to do it on. I'm pretty sure. Like they won't do a double feature of anything that makes sense. It's going to be like literally at the theater we were at the first and second time, there were people wearing Barbenheimer shirts, meaning they went on some website online or whatever and paid for.
See, that's a bit too far. Like that's a bit like, come on, just go watch the movie.
Yeah, I've actually heard early reviews of this say this is pretty good. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. I know it's animated. You probably won't see it. I'll go and see it most likely.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm a shill. That's not even part of Marvel or DC, really. It's kind of it's jumped around from here and there.
Yeah, but it's still shill like activities.
Is it? By the way, the new Transformers movie is on Max now, I think.
Max?
No, wait. What is it on? It's out on
Wouldn't it be Paramount? Isn't it a Paramount movie?
Is it? Let me see where it's at. Is it Paramount?
I know the Michael Bay ones were Paramount.
Oh, you're probably right. Yeah. Someone said earlier that it was out on streaming, so I'm assuming it's on one of those services. That will never happen. That will never happen.
That would
never
even though it would be the same studio, like you can do like Superman and
I
don't know, Harry Potter or whatever it is. You wouldn't do that.
The reason why it's so big with these two films is because of the fact that they're two different types of movies. And by the way, Oppenheimer, when they made that 80 million, right? That opening at 80 million, for them, that was enough to go, this movie's a massive success. So the fact that it's over 300 million is like insane. Let me double check right now. I want to. Where's that here? 6 days ago. I don't want 6 days ago. I want today. All right. Okay, so confirmed sales right now for Oppenheimer. It's on pace to have 400 million by the end of this weekend.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I wanna push you around.
It's really funny that how that works, right? Because that's how I lost my very first YouTube channel.
What, Matchbox 20?
No, singing a song. I wasn't even
Oh.
playing in the background. I was just singing it, and it totally brought my whole channel down. Back in
What were you
2007.
singing?
I don't remember. I just remember that I was singing something on video, and my channel got deleted for that. See you later, Anthony Beltry. It's not as bad now, but back then they would delete your channel immediately for something like that. So Oppenheimer had around 100 million budget, which means it's well beyond being a success at this point. So weird times, everybody. Weird times. With that being said, we're going to get out of here too. I will let everybody know the time and date for the movie review podcast. I'll put out like a teaser for that probably Monday or Tuesday. So yeah, anything else, Paigey? Somebody asked if you were doing a stream anytime soon, or is it no? Like, just
No.
I guess they mentioned the Hunger Games, but that takes a lot for you to do that.
Yeah, I
That's a
saw
lot.
it. It was Hero's Journey. I think he asked to do every single stream.
That's a lot to do a Hunger Game. So anyway, all right, we're going to get out of here. We will see everyone in the next stream. So have a good night. Bye.